Hello everyone, welcome to Come Sit at My Table. We're Tom and Melissa and we're really happy that you're here for our video. Today is our 6th video in our series called Super Bowl Sundays. Now we spell super, S-O-U-P-E-R, because we have done a soup recipe for the 6 Sundays leading up to Super Bowl, which is today. Today's video is about a recipe that's about as easy as it gets, and it's one of our family's favorites. We have used this recipe for years and years and years. I actually got this recipe from a lady named Judy Willoughby that we used to work with when we were teaching school before we retired. This recipe is so easy to put together that it's almost ridiculous. And the first time that I made it, after Judy told me about it, I really didn't think it would work. I wasn't sure that it would be something that we would like or could eat. But it's turned out to be one of our very favorites. It's got very few ingredients and it is delicious. So let's talk about what we're going to use today to make oven beef stew. Of course, if you're going to have beef stew, you have to have beef. So we're using 2 pounds of beef stewing meat. Now this is from a beef that we had butchered, but you can find stewing meat in the meat department of your grocery store. So if you don't see it, just go ask your butcher or the person at your meat department if they have stewing meat, and you'll need about 2 pounds. We're also going to use 4 really large potatoes. Now, I've already diced up 3 jumbo potatoes that we had, but we didn't have a 4th jumbo potato, so I'm using 2 little bit smaller potatoes to make up for it, but you'll need 4 jumbo potatoes or the equivalent of that. We also are going to use 2 onions, and I have already peeled those, and we're just going to quarter them. Now, you'll notice that I have left the stem intact. That's because we're going to quarter them this way, and we want a piece of that stem on each piece to kind of hold that onion together while it's baking. We're also going to use 8 carrots, and I'm going to chop those into pretty good sized chunks. You want a piece that will fit onto a spoon, but this is a stew. And when you're making a stew, you want good sized pieces of meat and vegetable. So we'll chop the rest of those carrots. You need about 8 average sized carrots. Now that's your meat and vegetables. But what's going to make the gravy or the sauce for our stew? Well, this is crazy, but you're going to use 2 cans of tomato soup and 2 cans of cream of celery. And that's it. That's all you're going to use to make the sauce or the gravy for your stew. Now, when it's finished baking after 6 hours, we are going to drain and add 1 can of peas. We don't put those in while it's baking. We wait until it's completely baked and we take it out of the oven before we add those peas. They are already cooked. They're ready to eat. You could eat them right out of the can. So they don't need to go in. If you put them in before you bake it, they would just turn to mush and you wouldn't have peas. Okay. So we're going to fix our stew in this large Dutch oven. Before I had this Dutch oven, I always made it in a large Pyrex baking dish, and that's fine. Anything that you can bake in that has a lid will work as long as it will hold all of this. Now I'm going to start by finishing my potatoes, and I'm just going to peel those quickly, and we'll cut those up. Now, I think I said earlier when we were talking about the carrots that you want to cut them into bite-sized chunks. You can see here, there's a bad spot in this potato. You just want to make sure you get that out. Go deep enough that you get that bad spot out of there. And that happens. Potatoes are treated pretty rough when they're being picked or harvested, not picked, but harvested and shipped. So you're going to find bad spots in potatoes, but we want to cut those into bite-sized chunks. You can see here about the size that I have cut them. You don't want small pieces. You don't want to fine dice because This is a stew, and you want good sized pieces. Now, you don't want them so big that they won't fit on a spoon. You want something that, people can get in their mouth, but you don't want little tiny pieces in a stew. Okay, so we have our potatoes peeled, and I will rinse those. And now let's just chop those up real quick. It won't take long. Cut them in half this way, cut them in half lengthwise, and then just chop them into bite-sized pieces. I do put them in water after I cut them because potatoes will start turning brown on you, and you don't want that. So once you cut them, keep them in water. Okay. So those go in, and actually we can just go ahead and put those in our Dutch oven if you want to go ahead and do that, or you can keep them in that water. Okay, we have our onions. I've already peeled those. I'm just going to quarter them. So I am going to do it from the root end because I want to make sure I leave some of that root on the onion to hold that together so those layers won't fall apart. And I'm just going to throw those in with the potatoes. That won't hurt.
So those will kind of fall apart as they're baking?
Well, we hope they don't completely fall apart, but yeah, they'll get a little soft and become, oh, this one's got a green spot in the middle, and I want to get that out. You see this right here?
Yes.
Can you see that? So I'm just going to take my knife and kind of trim that off, get that out of there, because that could be tough or it could be bitter. Okay, so the onions are done. Now, we want to finish our carrots. I've already peeled those. I've washed them, peeled them, and washed them again. So all we're going to do is cut them into chunks. On the small end, I go a little bit bigger. But as we get to the bigger end, I go a little bit thinner just because you want it to be a bite-sized piece. And when I get to, if I have a carrot that's really big, I might even cut it in half, like so, and then cut it, because you don't want it so big that a person can't get it in their mouth, but you want a good chunk too. So just cut it up the way you think it needs to be cut. Oops, I just dropped a piece. Oh well, we'll do without that one. Now you can see this end is smaller, so I'm cutting a little bit bigger, longer pieces. But as I get up here closer to the bigger end, I'm going a little more narrow. Okay. I don't think I should have left so many to cut on camera, huh?
On fast.
Yeah, they do go fast. Okay. 2 more, I think. 1, 2. Okay. Now, this stew bakes in the oven on really low heat, 250 degrees. Make sure you do 250, not 350, because it needs to bake low and slow. And we're going to bake it for 6 hours. 250 degrees for 6 hours. Okay. Our carrots are in. Now, we have everything chopped and ready, but I'm going to move these out of the way for just a minute, Melissa. The first thing we have to do in our baking dish or our Dutch oven is mix the soups together. So I'm just going to open these and dump them in. And of course we want to get all of that out. We don't want to waste any of that because that's what's going to make the delicious gravy on our beef stew. Oh, there's a lot down in there. Come out there. Okay. Here's one. Now, this is really easy to double or triple. A lot of times when our kids were still living at home, I would double this. Occasionally I would triple it, and we would have leftovers. Because I am of the persuasion that if you're going to cook, you should have plenty for leftovers. I've always said, cook once, eat twice. And sometimes at our house, we cook once and eat 3 times or 4 times.
Sure makes life simpler.
It does. And I'm sure someone's going to ask on the comments if you can freeze this. If you have leftovers and you want to freeze it, you can do that. It will change the kind of the texture of it a little bit, but you can do it. We have done it many times. So yes, you can freeze it. Okay, this can had less soup in it than any can I have ever opened in my life. I'm gonna say it was almost half empty. I hope that's not a sign of what soup companies are starting to do. Now you can see we have our 4 cans of soup in there, and I'm just gonna mix those together. I just wanna mix them up a little bit. And then we're gonna stir everything else into it and put it in the oven. That's it. By the way, while we're doing this part, let me ask you to go right below this video and click the thumbs up. That's the like button. That just says you liked our video, and the more people who click the like button, the more times YouTube will share our video. So we sure would appreciate it if you'd click that like button. And then beside of it is a share button. If you click it, you can share this to your own social media page so that your friends and family can see this video. And they might want to make it too. And then of course, right below on the right side is the subscribe button. If you click it, you only have to do that once, but if you click it, that subscribes you to our page, and we like to say that gives you a permanent seat at our table. But if you subscribe to our page and click that little notification bell beside of it in the word all, then you will be notified every time that we add a new video. And we would appreciate you subscribing. That helps us build our channel. So we really do appreciate those of you who have subscribed. And if you haven't, we would appreciate you doing that. Okay, I'm just going to drain my potatoes. You want to make sure they're drained well, because you don't want water in this. You don't want it to become watery. You want it to be nice and thick and soupy. Okay, so in that goes. Now, we're going to add our beef, but before I do that, I am going to drain the liquid that's on it. I'm going to get rid of these cans first, Melissa.
Okay.
That way I have a place to drain that beef. Okay, I'm going to cut these open. And I'll just drain that beef right here in the sink. Now, if raw meat kind of grosses you out, like somebody in our family,
That would be me.
you might want to have someone else do this for you. It's kind of funny that Melissa's dad was a butcher. That was his profession. And she does not like raw meat.
I guess that's why I don't, because he always did it for us. He always took care of that.
So what you're saying is he should have been making you
I suppose.
work with raw meat.
Thanks, Dad. I do appreciate it.
Oh my. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure my mom did her fair share of.
Oh, I guarantee you your mom did.
My mom's a great cook.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. She can cook anything. Main dishes, desserts, sides, salads, it doesn't matter. She can do it all. Okay, let's get that open. All right. Now you notice we're just putting that in there raw. We did not cook that meat. That's what makes this, one of the things that makes this dish so easy. All right, I'm going to need a spoon here. And I don't think here, we'll use this one. Now, we're just going to, no, I'm not using that one. That's the flimsy one.
I think there's a more solid one there.
Here, I'll use this one. That's more solid. So we're just going to stir this up. Make sure that soup mixture is not just laying on the bottom. We want it to be on the meat and vegetables, just so it kind of cooks together. And you don't have to make sure everything has some on it, but just stir it up well. Make sure it's all in there. And this is it, folks. Once you get this done, you're ready to go to the oven for 6 hours.
So no salt, no pepper, no other seasonings?
Nope. Your soup mixture has salt in it. You don't need the pepper.
Yeah, soups have lots of salt.
Now, I'm going to tell you, if you want to add salt and pepper, you can do that, or whatever seasonings you want. But I really would recommend that the first time you make this, you make it the way we're doing it, and then see if you think you need something else. All right, so our lid's going on. We're going in our preheated 250-degree oven for 6 hours, and when it's finished, we'll come back and put some in a bowl, and we'll taste it for you. By the way, we are serving this with cornbread tonight. So soup, oven beef stew and cornbread. Great combination. We'll be right back. We just took our beef stew out of the oven. It's been baking for 6 hours at 250 degrees. Now it's time to stir in our can of peas and get ready to eat. I'm sure this will, steam everywhere. Okay, I'll lay that up there. Wow. Oh, it smells so good. I'll tell you that we have been out for part of the day today. We had several errands to run, places to go. And when we walked in, the smell of this beef stew was just amazing. It was wonderful. Everybody who came in said, "Oh, that smells delicious."
All right. Everybody's hungry now.
Yeah. So we've put in our can of peas, and I'm just going to gently stir it in. They don't need to cook. They just need to be stirred into the beef stew. So I'll stir it around a little bit, just very gently. We don't want to break anything up. Wow.
That looks so good.
It is so good. It is always delicious. All right, I'm going to lay that over there. And I'm going to taste this. Are you going to take the first bite?
I think I'm going to pass, but I am looking forward to having dinner tonight.
And why are you passing?
Because it will burn the roof of my mouth. I've said this every time.
I know. It is hot. You won't tell on me if I sneak more than a bite, will you?
Your secret's safe with me.
Because I absolutely love this beef stew. And if you know me, you know the first bite I'm going for is meat. Oh man, this smells so good. I wish everybody could smell this. And I want you to look, while I let this cool, I want you to look at the gravy on this. And that came from 2 cans of tomato soup and 2 cans of cream of celery soup. It's crazy. But it worked. It's worked for, gosh, how many years ago was it she gave us this recipe?
I don't know, but we really do appreciate it, Judy.
25 years or more. Oh, how hot. There is no way you could get meat more tender than that. It literally just dissolves in your mouth. My goodness, that's delicious. To quote our friend Bruce, who's here in Florida with us, that's incredibly delicious. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm not going to eat all this on camera, but I am going to eat it all. All right, this is our last It's our 6th and last final video in our Super Bowl series. So if you want all 6 videos, you can go to our, what's that called? Playlist. You can go to our playlist. All you have to do is click on the screen where you see the title, Come Sit at My Table. If you'll click Come Sit at My Table, it will take you to our homepage. At the top, you'll see some tabs. It says Home, Videos, Shorts, and I think the 4th one over says Playlist. If you'll click where it says Playlist, it'll take you to a new page, and on that page, you'll see all of our different playlists. It's just groups of videos we've put together for different things like Christmas and whatever. And one of those playlist groups is Super Bowl Sundays. SOUPER. So if you click on that, it'll show you the 6 soup recipes that we have put on for this series that we're finishing today. All right. And by the way, I can already hear someone thinking, beef stew is not a soup, it's a stew. It's still a soup. Come on.
Same kind of type food.
Same type food. All right. We hope you try this because I know if you try it, you will love it. By the way, you can cut this in half. It's very easy. If you want a smaller portion, just do half of everything. You do 1 can of tomato soup, 1 can of cream of mushroom. You do 2 potatoes instead of 4. You do 4 carrots instead of 8. 1 pound of stew meat instead of 2, and so on. It's very easy to do. And you would probably bake it for about the same time. Maybe just a little less, but very close to the same time. If you want more than that, if you need more than the recipe calls for, this is very easy to do 50% more, or double it, or triple it, whatever you need to do. It's a great, great recipe. We do appreciate you being here. If you would, go right below the video, click the like, share, and subscribe button. And remember that right under the video where you see the title, Oven Beef Stew, you can click that title and that description box will expand. Melissa always puts the written recipe there for you. It's already written out. You don't have to copy anything down. And under that recipe, you will find our contact information. And of course, there is a section below to comment. So we would love to hear from you. Leave us a comment. If you have tried some of the soups in our Super Bowl Sunday series, leave us a comment and tell us which one you like the best, or just let us know if you tried some of them. We would appreciate hearing about that. All right, thanks again. We appreciate you watching. Most importantly, we want you to remember that you are always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a great day and enjoy the Super Bowl this evening.